Do what works until it doesn't work anymore, then do something different. This is by far the best unsolicited parenting advice I've ever received. Now, we all know you're not supposed to give people unsolicited advice, but I will honestly say that I've gotten some great unsolicited advice. Yes, I have also gotten some terrible unsolicited advice, but we'll just stick with the good stuff today. Do what works until it doesn't work anymore, and then do something different. Turns out that's actually just really good advice for life. I don't remember who said it to me because I'm pretty sure I was in the sleep-deprived fog of being a brand new parent with a newborn who didn't sleep. But I am eternally grateful to that wise person because when you're a new parent, there are so many people who are ready and willing to convince you that you are going to ruin your child if you don't do things their way. So, do what works until it doesn't work anymore. Then do something different. The problem is we like for things to be stable. It's why we build things to last. Systems, institutions, buildings, schedules, relationships, even our sense of style. We at least like to think of the things we care about as timeless, even though we walk through this life knowing we're all here just temporarily. And sometimes we find out those things we've built, those things we've become used to, don't work anymore. But change is really, really hard, especially if other people are also invested in the way things are. In today's gospel, the temple in Jerusalem had just been restored by Herod the Great, a project that had taken 80 years. It was, by all accounts, absolutely beautiful, full of marble and silver and gold, a testament to God's majesty as mere proxy for Herod's own. It was the place where Jesus had received wisdom when he had visited with his parents. It was the kind of place designed to strike awe in everyone who entered. But buildings should serve ministry and not the other way around. Institutions and systems should serve the world and not the other way around. And no matter how majestic this piece of holy architecture was, it was still vulnerable to the winds of change. Do what works until it doesn't work anymore, and then do something different. Even if from the outside it seems like it's working, even if from the outside it seems beautiful and people admire it, even if you've worked really hard to construct it. We've been reading Jesus and John Wayne in our book group here at church, and we had the opportunity to hear the author speak this past week. One of the things that struck me in this history of white fundamentalist or even American evangelicalism was that although white evangelicals like to pretend like their version of Christianity is timeless and normative, it's not even among evangelicals. And when the winds of change have hit, particularly recently, particularly in dramatic fashion, some folks have found themselves worrying that the church itself is dying. But the church is not dying. It's changing. It's reforming. People have decided that this way is not working, and they're doing something different. And we know that systems do not go down without a fight. Jesus tells us straight up that change is not easy. Stone temples do not fall without conflict. If you're going to make a big change, you've got to be prepared for some resistance. You've also got to be prepared for people to tell you it's not worth it, it's too hard, it's impossible, that nothing ever changes anyway, so don't bother trying. But we know that's not true. I think we saw this past week as there was the second highest turnout among voters aged 18 to 29 in the past 3 decades. Students at this university waited in line for hours with the last student voting at 2 a.m. And these voices made a massive difference in the trajectory of this country, simply by trusting that if they showed up, their voices would be heard. Do what works until it doesn't work anymore, then do something different. In Isaiah today, God says to God's people who are coming out of exile, "For I am about to create a new heavens and a new earth. But for the new to take hold, the old must pass away." And that's scary because we're humans and we don't like change. But resurrection is impossible without death. A sprout can't emerge unless the seed's hull cracks. By definition, things cannot change if they stay locked in sameness. God is constantly working within and around us, changing the world around us, making a way out of no way, doing something different when things aren't working anymore. God is working through you, in you, creating a new creation in you every single day. So, is there something in your own life that's not working anymore? What are you trying to preserve that doesn't fit? God calls us to a life that lives into the promise of resurrection, knowing that even if it seems like we're facing the worst, even if it seems like stones are tumbling all around us, there is always hope because God's relationship with us is rooted in the promise of new life. God is always, always doing a new and different thing. Amen.